Hi friendlings, welcome back to my channel. So today me and Pip thought we would speak to you, or mainly me obviously. Oh, got it in your face. So me and Pip thought we'd speak to you today about breastfeeding. So I thought I'd kind of do a bit of an update really on how we're getting on breastfeeding. So it's basically just been over a month that I've been breastfeeding. Pip was 4 weeks the Friday the 3rd of May, 1 month since being born on the 5th of May, and today is the 8th. So I kind of thought that it would be best to do this video today just because I feel horrendous. It's more the fact of I've actually found out that I've got mastitis. For those who don't know what mastitis is, if you do a quick Google search you'll see some very red boobs, and it's basically that the milk flow has become blocked. So it means that having very hot boobs, it means having very, very sore boobs. So feeding Pip has been quite painful, and also with the mastitis it makes you feel very, very under the weather and not very well. Today has hit me like a ton of bricks. I have a dodgy tummy, I feel sick, I just feel like I'm coming down with the flu. I've been sleeping a lot more as well. Ollie had to take Pip this morning so I could have half an hour. I don't even think I had half an hour, just laying there really, just to kind of reboot myself for the day, shall we say, which I felt really bad for because Ollie has work and obviously he needed to get ready, so I did really appreciate that this morning. So mastitis is very common for women to get. I have put mine down to the fact that over the last week, I think it's nearly been a week and a half actually, my boob has been getting gradually sorer and, or should I say gradually more painful. But I just put it down to the fact that in the beginning I struggled with breastfeeding just because it was so painful. My boobs were so engorged, they were like massive bowling balls, and I felt like I needed a pillow between my boobs because it was that big. The midwife at the time said to me that it was just that I needed to get the milk out and the redness would go down, which it did, but the pain that I had then is basically the pain I've got now, but it's just getting more intense. So I'm on antibiotics, which is, you know, hopefully I'm on them for a week. I've got to take 4 a day. I've taken 1 today already. I probably could take another one in a bit. So that's kind of where I'm at now, so I'm not entirely feeling great. One of my boobs is worse than the other, but they're both got mastitis. So yeah, if you guys have even got a hint of what you think that you have it, or if you're uncomfortable, go and see your doctor ASAP. I cannot recommend that enough. I was speaking to the girls, I was speaking to Ollie about this, and they were like, just go to the doctors, because at the end of the day I was dreading again feeding her, and to reiterate on and to kind of explain about the again is that when I first breastfeeding, when Pip was born, she came out and she was basically wanting the nipple straight away. So latched her on, absolutely fine. She was absolutely fine, and then it wasn't till the Saturday, no it wasn't, I think it was like the Monday actually, so she was born on the Friday, the Monday, that's where the midwife came around and my boobs were massive and engorged. So that's where the problem kind of started for me, that it was so painful. I was crying every time I was feeding, I was dreading feeding her, I was still letting her kind of continue her feed and I wasn't pulling her off before I should have, because I read the NHS website, which is great for kind of like tips and tricks with breastfeeding, and my latch on was absolutely fine. The midwife couldn't really understand why it was so painful, so that was hard for me, because if she didn't know why it was painful, then what else could I say really? or what else could I do? And it just felt like a continuous cycle. One of the midwives, Claire, was absolutely brilliant. She's actually subscribed to this channel, so hi Claire, if you're watching, hopefully you are. She was absolutely brilliant. She popped in more times than she was originally booked in for, helping us daily, just trying to get either Pip latched in a different way. Originally I was breastfeeding across like Pip's laying now, but that was proving painful. But I think it's just because of the way that I was holding her, or the way that she'd already hurt me. Well, she didn't hurt me, but the way that she was already laying, it was just painful. So then I tried the rugby ball. This is where you hold them underneath your arm and they kind of lay on cushions. So that kind of was better, and that's the way I've been feeding her from home. If I go out and about, then I'll feed across. So Claire was absolutely amazing. All the midwives were. It was just, in the beginning, it was a long slog, which wasn't, because it was like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and then after that, it was amazing for a week, and now we've gone into like the 4th week. That's where I've now got mastitis, and it's very painful again. I didn't even explain. So the reason I think I've got mastitis is because Pip kept using my nipples as a dummy, which I've mentioned in my other video. And basically, because she was using my nipples as a dummy, she was producing milk. So she was getting more than she needed at the time, I suppose, although she wasn't complaining. And my boobs were thinking that they needed to produce more milk than they actually were. So we brought a dummy because my nipples were getting really, really painful. Obviously the start of mastitis, didn't know. So we brought a dummy. She's gone to the dummy, and my boobs are obviously had a milk, well, I'm assuming had a milk blockage from where the original milk she was taking for the latching on for dummy like with my nipple is now getting stuck, and she's not feeding as much. So that's why I think I mean, if I had to guess, that's what I would think it is. So yeah, so it's been that's kind of been the scenario with that. Breastfeeding as a whole, in the beginning, I remember speaking to Ollie, and I remember speaking to Beck and Josh, and I remember saying to them, I don't know if I can breastfeed, because I literally was sat on the sofa and did not move, and that was really, really, really hard for me. So to the point of, I've always been an up and at girl. I don't like sitting down doing nothing. When Ollie's ever said to me about having a lazy Sunday watching TV, that's kind of like not my, unless I'm hungover, obviously, that's not my type of fun. I like to be doing stuff all of the time. So to be sat on the sofa and not be able to do anything really, really hit me home. And I just thought, if I bottle fed her, then I wouldn't be stuck on the sofa. I'd be able to go out and do things. Ollie would be able to feed her. And I think with the process of her using my nipple as a dummy, it was constant. Like, she was latched on 24/7. Well, it felt like that to me. And obviously that's not good. And it got to the point where I was in the house for, I think I was in the house for like 5 days straight. And I'd had enough, basically. So having the dummies gave me that relief, and that kind of changed my whole outlook on breastfeeding. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it, because through the tears, through the ups and downs, it's been a month, but I feel like it's been such a longer journey, but not in a bad way. I feel like I've come so far just from what I've done already, and I can't thank the midwives, Ollie, our friends enough, and our family, my mum, everyone, just to keep pushing me through. So yeah, so if you guys are kind of in the same mindset, I completely get it, absolutely completely get it, because it's hard breastfeeding, and it's hard keeping that motivation if you are struggling, or if you are struggling, it's not the end of the world if you are breastfeeding. And I just think at the end of the day, if your baby's being fed, then that is honestly the best thing. Doesn't matter how, as long as they're being fed and they're happy, what does it matter how you're doing it? Leading on to breastfeeding out and about. So that was fun, shall we say. The first kind of breastfeeding that I did out and about was at Beck and Josh's, but I covered myself up. But then against friends, so that doesn't really count. The breastfeeding that I did officially out and about was in Next, and that was literally week before last, so 2 weeks ago I did that, and I walked around next. I just thought, if I've got to do it. I don't, I'm not gonna overthink it, just gonna do it. I latched Pip on, I covered myself up with a blanket because I wasn't sure whether I was gonna be happy having part of my boob on show, and I walked around next, and I walked and I walked and I walked, and then when she was done, I passed her back to Ollie, and then did I pass her back? Oh no, I know the words. Ollie helped me out to get my boob hidden, and then I burped her, and then that was it. And since I've done that, I felt so much more confident. But the biggest confidence step, which I don't know whether other people will feel like this, but was actually on Saturday when it was Zoe's birthday party, and I saw Jodie, which is Zoe's sister, and she had her baby girl the day after Pip was born, which was actually on Pip's due date. Now, Jodie is a midwife, and she literally just got a boob out and breastfed. And as much as I have always said that I would do it, and as much as I've seen other people do it, it wasn't till that moment that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So since then, at Zoe's, I just got my boob out and breastfed, and we had friends around yesterday, just got my boob out and breastfed, and to be honest with you, I didn't really just get my boob out so everyone could see it. It's just more the fact of having that slight bit so you can tell that you're breastfeeding. I don't understand why it's such a problem, but I did it. So out and about now, I'm going to feel so much more confident, and I don't feel like scared about breastfeeding out and about anymore. Because I did go through a point as well, I was getting really nervous going outside the house, which I previously mentioned, because I didn't know whether she was going to be fed, I didn't know whether she was going to need changing, and it just kind of like blew my mind a little bit. So now I feel completely different about everything, and I think it's just all steps, and it might not be the same for somebody else to see someone else breastfeeding out and about. It might not be the same to anybody else, but this is kind of the experience I've had, and this is how I feel, and this is why I've done these videos. And people may agree with me, people may not, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And like I said, as long as that baby's being fed, that's all you need to worry about, and as long as you're okay. Because today I feel like absolute poop, and I'm not feeling entirely great, and Ollie, bless his heart, is, he just wants to help in every way he can, and I think I'm catching this at the right time to help myself, because obviously I don't want Ollie to then stress about me and Pip when he's at work. So I think I'm just going to lay on the sofa, but I just thought, if I do this video now, I can tell you guys exactly how I feel now, and also just kind of give you that uplift if you need it, that you're not the only one out there who's absolutely feeling like absolute shite. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of been short and sweet. I'm all for breastfeeding, I'm all for bottle feeding, and that's kind of something I wanted to, cover as well, and also show you that breastfeeding is not the biggest walk in the park, but if you persevere with it, if that's something you really want to do, then it can work out. If it doesn't, meh, I feel like I'm overlapping now. But yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys all next time. I hope I feel better. I'm really trying to get videos done, but Pip is proving quite hard at the moment. She's turned clingy. I need a wrap. I've basically put her in my clothes today just to give her that kind of feeling that she's not leaving me. I've had a couple of requests for pram reviews. We're going to do that. We've got that booked in. Me and Ollie are going to do that together. I promise the labour story's coming. Me and Ollie are trying to sort out a date that we both can sit down where we're not exhausted or Pip's needing us, because we are so excited to do this video, and I'm really excited to talk about the labour again because it was such a good experience, and I think it'd be good to really talk about a good story, because you hear a lot of horror ones and that's not always good. So yeah, so I'm rambling now. So I will see you guys all next time, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye!